Okay, today we are playing a game on VoD. We are in the Platinum SR range, and we will be playing the majority of the game as Reinhardt, and about 25%-ish of the game as D.Va. There's not a lot of D.Va in there, it's mostly Reinhardt, but enough D.Va I felt I had to put her on the card, right? Current team composition is Reinhardt, Zarya, Ashe, Mei, Mercy, and Zenyatta. So, Mercy Zen, a little low on the healing output side. Mercy not as good as a main healer as she used to be, and definitely overshadowed by Ana and Moira, just broadly speaking. More of an off healer these days, so a little low on the healing output. But other than that, let's just start the game. So we have gone for the Fire Strike right at the start of the game. I don't really like doing that on most maps, to be honest with you. Like, what scares me to do that on VoD is sometimes they come out of the gate with, like, a Lucio Roadhog, and you get hooked and die right at the start of the game. And that doesn't feel good when that happens, and the potential gain is, like, 2 extra Fire Strike hits at the start of the game on building ult charge, and the risk is maybe losing the choke point. I don't like to do that on most maps, personally. Because you can usually just get them like as they're coming up there, and that's like slightly less efficient, but way lower on the risk front. So we are pretty far up right now, because the thing with standing in the gate on VoD, and this is true on a few different maps, the thing with standing in the gate is that the enemy can shoot your shield from a position where your team cannot return fire to them. Right? Because if you're standing literally right here, then the enemy can just stand, like, around the corner and shoot this corner of your shield. Or they can stand, like, back here and shoot this corner of the shield. So your shield can be getting broken from places where the enemy team is not exposed to the enemy team. And then your shield's just taking damage for free. Because the whole point of the shield is giving your teammates an uncontested line of sight to the enemy team. So that's true on a few different maps, like King's Row, standing literally in the gate at the start of the map. There's so many places your shield can get shot without the enemy your team being able to return fire. Hollywood, standing like in the gate, they can just stand outside the gate, and unless your teammates are going to stand literally back to the wall behind you, which is also scary if the enemy team engages on you there, then the enemy team can just stand outside and shoot at your shield for free. So standing in the gate, usually not ideal, because you'd like your teammates to be able to shoot back at the enemy team. You don't want them to just break your shield for free. Moreover, if you're this far up and you have to retreat, it's way easier to die, because they can just suddenly get on you a lot faster. Personally, and don't let your shield break, but we'll get to that in a second. Personally, I like to stand more or less where we are right now, but still like a little bit further back, because you're still close enough that you can engage a fight with the enemy team, but it's just way harder for them to shoot your shield from uncontested places, because suddenly they have to come further up here to shoot at you, and then, oh, now I can see them again. They can't just, like, completely stand out of line of sight for the most part. Could still stand, like, over there, and your team has to come a little bit further up to see him, but it's less easy for the shield to get broken. Don't let your shield break, ever, because we don't want our shield to break, because then it fully goes on cooldown before we can actually use it again, and you want to always be able to use your shield, because even a 1 health shield will block Earth Shatter, right? Like, it'll block a D.Va explosion. Not having access to the shield, very scary. So Mei walls off both the tanks, we go in, start swinging into them. We had Fire Strike, so we could have used that in here, because ideally we did the swing in, and as soon as it makes contact, you Fire Strike, and you just do fast. It's probably slightly less overall DPS, but you do more burst damage to the person, which is kind of a big deal when you haven't got that long to hit at the person. I think it is a sustained DPS-wise, it's slightly less, but you do way more, like, burst to the person. Which is important if you're just trying to, like, finish someone, like, hitting a squishy, or you've not got that long to swing into a person. So we're not blocking for anyone right now. We're just holding our shield up for ourselves, and a wall will do that for us. So that's time the shield could be healing, that it's being held up instead. Maybe a bit afraid of getting shot and dying, but there's only really a couple of things to worry about as Reinhardt. And this kind of ties into the broadly, the question that is attached to the video, which is just broadly, how do you carry as Reinhardt? Reinhardt's only really got 2 things to worry about. 3 things depending on how you look at it. The big one's Earthshatter. Like, that's what... You want to know how to carry a game as Reinhardt, it's all Earthshatter, to be perfectly honest with you. Like, Earthshatter is an extremely strong ultimate that's just kind of... If you've landed a good Earthshatter, or even just a decent Earthshatter, you should win the team fight off of that, assuming it was a good Earthshatter. Sometimes they look good, but they aren't actually good. But assuming it was a good Earthshatter, you should win the team fight. So that's largely how you win team fights as Reinhardt. And then the other thing is... shield efficiency, which is letting it regenerate as much as possible and not letting it take as much trash and chip damage as possible. And point 2 ties into point 1, because the worse you are at shield management, the harder it is for you to beat the other Reinhardt in terms of using Earthshatter, which is what so much of playing Reinhardt revolves around. And then the other thing, I guess, is protecting your teammates, I suppose, you know, if we've got time to spare. So this is a very bad charge to go for because of the sheer distance we have to go, because we are going a long way with this charge. We could pivot and attempt to pin him into this right here instead, but then, you know, just the bubble stops it regardless, so it wouldn't make much difference overall in terms of damage, but we wouldn't go as far, because suddenly, now, like, we've gone real far from our team. Our team's back on the point. That's the eraser, not the pen. Our team's, like, over here, and now we're all the fuck way over here, right? Like, we've gone to the opposite side of the arena, pretty much, to have this fight. So suddenly, oh god, they just turn around like, what are you doing? And they kill us immediately. 2 of our team were dead, so we both our DPS, so we weren't looking good for that fight regardless, but moreover, just, you know, regardless, still a bad charge. When you're charging someone, you want the charge to be as little distance as possible, because you give the enemy team less time to react, you don't go as far away from your team, and you spend less time taking damage while charging. Because if you're charging a long distance, there's more time for them to react, which also means more time for you to get crowd controlled if they have it. Enemy Reinhardt's got longer to react to you in terms of counter-charging. And when you're charging, you can't have your shield up, you're just taking damage while you're charging in, for the most part, so I want the charge to be as little as possible. Ideally, somebody just, like, oversteps, and we go right into the wall right next to us, and we barely go anywhere. Ideally. This person's walled off, so it doesn't really matter at that point, and we did do 69% right there, which is very nice. This is very aggressive to go this far up right now, because, they're kind of, like, all gonna be right around this corner for the most part. They're all on the payload, more or less, so going that far up's a little scary. This long charge, again, so this Reinhardt's got more time to react to it. Less good to go for it on a Reinhardt, also, when you have to go that far, because he could just countercharge. What he should have done is he should have just countercharged right here, because then, as we can see, the wall got broken. So if he countercharges us, we get knocked down right here in full view of the enemy team, fairly far away. I don't know why this indicates the entire enemy team. I'm doing the John Cena. I'm not sure why that communicates the entire enemy team, but whatever, you know. The hands know what they mean, I guess. Then suddenly, we're stunned right in front of the entire enemy team. Our team's all the fuck way back there, so this is the thing with countercharging, is that if you countercharge them, you're almost always closer to your team than the enemy team. So if we get countercharged right here, oh look, Hanzo's right there. Hanzo goes, nice, tink, 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 right into the head, right? And then suddenly we're not too happy about that. But Reinhardt didn't do that, he just dodged instead. Another reason to not do that, you don't know who's behind you if you don't countercharge the person, so sometimes you get the mercy killed by doing that. So we go for the Earthshatter right here. The thing is with this, is we do hit to, like, fairly important people, no doubt, but our teammates can't capitalize on it because they're really far behind us, and we can't capitalize on it because we actually can't fit through this space conveniently. And we also have to run into the entire enemy team to really swing at those two people we knocked down. So this was not a very good Earth Shatter. Reinhardt did that. We couldn't countercharge him yet? No, we couldn't countercharge him yet. So, anyway, it ends up not mattering, as we can see. We're still winning this fight regardless, but we definitely didn't play that fight as well as we could have. Better to have just saved the Earth Shatter, because your teammates need to be in a position where they can capitalize on it, and you need to be in a position where you can capitalize on it as well. Neither of those situations was true right there. Or neither of those conditions were true in that situation, I should say. So Bob's behind us. We had our Earth Shatter. This guy's almost certainly got his Earth Shatter, because they also won the fight. So we need to be afraid of that. And we just let our shield break. Don't ever let your shield break in front of the enemy Reinhardt. He didn't have time to capitalize on it in this situation, but if the enemy Reinhardt sees your shield break, they immediately go, oh, it's free. He can't physically block it anymore. So you really don't want to ever let it break. And, you know, it gets scary when it drops down to like 100 health in front of the guy, but you still do not want it to break, because then it's free. So this all started falling apart pretty quickly. So we're real greedy for this one right here. Like, we really want this Zarya. Zarya's gotten away pretty much at this point. We aren't gonna get her. She's not actually that low. Moira's using Coalescence behind us. Honestly, wouldn't have been entirely out of the question for it to be worth ulting Moira just to stop Coalescence, because, I mean, it's kind of a mess. Also, something I just saw, Hanzo is behind our team right now, currently trying to kill Moira. So, Zenyatta just died. So, Moira dying right now is very, very bad for us, because losing your main healer is always bad, but we've lost all our healers if Moira dies. And Hanzo is fairly confidently going for Moira right now. So our main concern right now should not be killing the enemy team. Our main concern currently should be keep Moira alive, because if Moira dies, we probably don't win this fight. And Moira did just die. Zenyatta and Hanzo presumably between them. And we're just being greedy right now, trying to get this Zarya that, like, we're not gonna get. She was really high health, she's fairly high charge, her teammates are still here with her. We shouldn't be going as aggressive as we should be right here. We should be backing up to rally with the rest of our team, and then protecting our healer, mainly, right in that particular instant, because they were starting to converge on Moira, and we need Moira to survive. So, whatever, they've got to push it through the whole track, so we can regroup out here. Zenyatta does have Discord Orb on him right now, and we do know there's a Hanzo on the enemy team, so we should just hold and he just took damage right there, we should, like, hold the shield up to make sure he doesn't get killed by these people running up. So we've gone really far up right now. We're very clearly looking for use Earth Shatter right now. Very, very telegraphed by walking all this way over here. So, bearing in mind that we're not blocking for anybody except ourselves right now, and these two people are not really going to do a lot of damage to us, and our shield is currently half health from coming all the way over here. And then Zarya bubbles this as well, so we should take the shield down. We're only blocking for ourselves. We just got bubbles. These two people are not going to do that much damage to us. So we're just not as good shield efficiency-wise, and this is just so optimistic. They're so far away that, like, they have to walk into us to actually get hit at this point. And we were surprised that didn't work. I'm not surprised this didn't work at all. Also, they're Reinhardt's right there. But they're so far away that, like, they need to walk on... Oh, God. Why not double down on it, right? Remember what we said about charging too far? We just charged as far as physically possible. And we're spamming, I need healing, I need healing, I need healing. Right now, Anna's thinking, this fucking dumbass. Like, that's what she's thinking right now. Like, this guy does that, yeah, you probably fucking do need healing. Like, oh God, we should not have done that. But we live. We didn't get punished, and as I always say, if you don't get punished, you don't have to learn. So, we definitely shouldn't have done that. You want to talk about charging too far. That's charging too far. But they didn't do anything. It's fine. No punish, no learn. So, pretty far up right now. I'm always a little afraid of getting back-capped on this map, but they've got to push it really far still, so it's not super likely to happen as long as we're paying attention. Shield should be just letting it recharge at this point, because their Reinhardt still hasn't used Earth Shatter. He's still got it, so you need to be worried about that. Bearing in mind, we never want to let our shield break, right? Which means that we can't use the full life of the shield. So we're always going to take it down when it's at like 200-ish health, right? Because otherwise it's in range of just getting bursted down really surprisingly. So like 200 health, we want to take the shield down most of the time. So if your shield reads 900 health, that actually means 700 health, which is not particularly exciting. Once your shield gets to like half health, it starts being like really not particularly helpful in terms of fighting. Want to try and let it regenerate at that point, and then so we should be just letting it regenerate, but then we come back out again, and now it's down to 800, and we're just holding it up still at them the whole time, and oh god, we've done it again. We definitely shouldn't have gone for that charge right there. Shield broke, or did we take it down? We took it down, didn't break. We did not shield that. I just heard what the fuck I shielded that. We did not shield that. We definitely took it down. Right there. Right as he pushed the button. It's not as bad as it used to be, but right, Earth Shatter still has kind of a lingering effect also, where like you can think you blocked it, take it down, and then still get hit by it. That's not as bad as it used to be. That used to be really bad, but it is still kind of that way. So, when we're fighting in the middle of the enemy team as Reinhardt, still try to use the shield, if at all possible, because we're taking a lot of damage right now. Not really much of it is coming from Reinhardt himself. A lot of it's coming from the teammates shooting behind him. So, when you're fighting someone, try to still get use out of the shield, like put it up between swings to try and block as much damage as, like, mitigate at least some damage in the middle of the fight. Not both for you and your teammates who are presumably behind you as well at the same time. So we've managed to build up Earth Shatter again. Their Reinhardt just used his, but he got to continue fighting for a little while in there, so he probably built up like 40-ish% by now. Probably a little bit less than that, but the penalty for estimating wrongly with Reinhardt's Earth Shatter is like, the punishment is very steep. So I'm usually quite conservative in this kind of estimate. So, but we know he doesn't have it right now, which makes things very easy for us in terms of getting the Earth Shatter. If we die, then this is bad, obviously, because then we can't capitalize on it. So I did see Hanzo. Hanzo's right there, right now. So we do take a lot of damage very surprisingly, but the surprising issue is like Reinhardt Hanzo up there, and I know we only just saw him because we were yelling Hanzo up top after we died. We saw him ahead of time actually, but we didn't notice at the time. So gotta look at the whole screen, because Hanzo being behind us in that position is pretty scary, and kind of neat to know that he's up there. We're saying that Junkrat would be really good here. Junkrat would not really be really good here because they're running double sniper. They do have to run through this fairly narrow funnel, but like they're double sniper, so Junkrat's not going to get super much value out of it. So we should be letting our shield regenerate right now because half health, not particularly exciting, and they've got two snipers, so we really like don't want our shield to break at all. So don't let it break, we let it break again, just like go around the corner and let it regenerate. And this is something else Reinhardt players do a lot, which is, they feel, they feel like the goal is to have their shield up as much as possible. The goal is actually to have your shield up as little as is possible, because you're trying to block meaningful damage from hitting your teammates, which means not trash damage, and also not just from hitting yourself, because a wall can block for you. The goal is to block for your teammates. So the goal is actually to have it up as little as possible. But what most players will do is they'll be like, my shield's getting low, I gotta let it regenerate. And they'll stand behind a wall, their shield's at like 500 health, and they're like, shit, the enemy team didn't stop shooting. And now, alright, well, my shield's at like 800 health, which isn't a lot better than 500 health, but it's something. And then they'll come out and start blocking again. but then their shield is breaking again within like half a second. So like, well, that was a fun 10 nanoseconds of blocking. Let me come back over here, regenerate. All right, let's go again. Just like, if your shield is getting really close to breaking, let it regenerate, because a mostly broken shield is virtually indistinguishable from having a broken shield. Just let it regenerate to a decent amount. And that doesn't mean, like, you have to let it regenerate to full every time you go and block, right? Like, go to let it regenerate after blocking. But, like, let it build up to a decent amount, like 1,500, something. Like, a decent amount, at least, before you come back out again. Just like having your shield so low constantly just puts you at such a disadvantage, because I mean, first off, we die right here because it breaks. We're not playing around cover either right now, so we have to run to get to cover. By the time we get to cover, we're basically dead. You still should be playing around cover. Another common thing with Reinhardt players, they're like, well, I've got cover right fucking here, so I don't need to play around cover, and they just stand out in the middle of nowhere. You still want to be playing around cover, because if you want to have something to get behind if things go badly, right? If you're just out in the middle of the walkway, and suddenly things go badly, you're like, well, I'm gonna walk my way over there now, and you get killed on your way over there, which is what happened here. But like, if your shield is constantly low health, it puts you at such a disadvantage when fighting the other Reinhardt, which is what so much of playing Reinhardt revolves around, playing around the other Reinhardt. If your shield's always cracking and broken, and the other Reinhardt is like doing a good job of managing his shield, or just his team is like better in terms of, or his team, or your team rather, I'm having a stroke, okay, hold on. If your team's bad at, like, breaking the enemy Reinhardt's shield, and he just sees that you're not managing your shield properly, it's always cracked, his is always doing well, then he's just like, this is free. I can play so aggressive right now, because I can see his shield's close to breaking, mine's nowhere near breaking, so I can just, like, walk at him right now, and I know his is gonna break first, so then I just free Earth Shatter. Shield management is so important because it makes it so much easier to beat the other Reinhardt. Here we could have taken it down sooner. Fairly micro optimization, but like Moira sipping on your shield is not much damage. Like if she sips on us, who cares? Just take it down a little bit faster. So we, back to the charging too far. We didn't even pin anybody. So it's even worse this time, because we didn't even get rewarded with damaging the enemy. Shield's breaking, just take it down sooner than that. Because it got real close to breaking, which we really don't want to have happen. No, don't put it back up, don't put it back up. Don't put it back up, it's worthless right now. 500 health shield, that's a 300 health shield. Don't do that. Just let it reject. No, keep doing it, keep doing it. This shield could be basically full by now, because we've interrupted it so much. It ticks up fast once it starts ticking, right? But, like, we've interrupted it. So we interrupted here. It was already regenerating at this point. So we interrupted it right there. So it has to start again. Oh, look, now it's regenerating again. Interrupted again. It started regenerating. It could be over 1,000 health by now, but we've interrupted it twice for not much reason. Alright, now, regenerate. We've interrupted it again. So that's 3 times we've interrupted it right as it started regenerating, pretty much. The thing could be basically full by now, if we just, like, or, like, 1,200, 500 health-ish, if not full by now. I'm bad at math. Could definitely be, like, most of the way towards full right now, but we've interrupted it so many times. Now, we just have really low health shield. And look, now we have a mostly full health shield. Don't do this. You're telegraphing so hard what you're trying to do right now. Just like run forward, shield down. And like the enemy team, they don't react appropriately. But like, this is such a hardcore telegraph that you're looking to use Earth Shatter. So if they have movement abilities, they're ready to use it right now to avoid it, right? Assuming the enemy team are going to play well, which we should assume they're going to do. Any play that revolves around the enemy team playing badly is a bad play itself. Like, we telegraph it so hard. If they've got movement abilities, they're ready to use it. If they've got something else that can block Earth Shatter, he's ready to try and block it. And we just take a lot of damage before we get the Earth Shatter off. Because we're like, running into 2 snipers and a Zenyatta with our shield down. So we just take a ton of damage. Even though we got a sick Earth Shatter, we still hit a lot of people, our team wasn't really in position to capitalize. I didn't even talk about this at the time, but like think about how far away everybody is from our teammates, right? Who not all are alive currently either, because we can see he just died, right? Junkrat's right here next to us. They're all the way over there. Most people on our team have got to turn like at least a corner or two before they can see the enemy team. Like, we don't get to capitalize because we die. They're too far back to capitalize. Oh god, now their main tank's dead. So they're suddenly like, oh, having a bad time. So even though we got a lot of people, we telegraphed it too hard. So if the enemy team's a different comp or just better at reacting, that doesn't work. We still took a ton of damage going into that comp with our shield down, and our team couldn't capitalize anyway. So there you go. And now, like, we've all played a game on Eichenwald. We know we're going to stall this one out like a couple extra seconds, but this one's gone. So now we've got to attack. And our team is a little more diving at this point. We've got 2 flanking DPS at this point. I can reflexively trans Earth Shatter more often than not. So people don't die if he does that, is the thing. Because if he reflexively trances the Earth Shatter, then people don't die, because he's healing all the people that got Earth Shattered. And you can actually take the pin for the person that, like, would die as well. Because Ryan, when they see they're using Trance and Earth Shatter, they're going to go, well, I'll pin a squishy and at least get one of them. Zen can just move forward, take the pin, then no one dies. So it's not so, it's just like, and I know that's not us that said it, but I mean, just, you know, it stops people dying, is the so. Like, people get to live. That's the so. So, no. I think we've beaten that drum enough times that we don't need to beat the drum one more time. But that was too much. That was too aggressive, once again. Definitely the thing that stood out the most so far this game is we charge way too aggressively, way too deep. So we're charging too aggressively, and then we're also, like, ending up in really bad locations, and we're like, what the hell? We're walking forward while on fire. We take our shield down in front of a team that's got Ash and Hanzo on it. So, yeah, you know, they do a lot of damage. We gotta be a little... Don't worry about it, I was listening to Genji. But shield, we're blocking nothing right now. We're not blocking nothing, we're blocking for nobody. Don't bother putting the shield up right there. No need, just let it be healthy instead. Same deal, that's trash damage coming in. No need to block that either, just let the shield be regenerating. Zarya shouldn't have done that, but that's her fault, it's not ours, so whatever. So, let the shield generate, we gotta wait for the team to regroup. We're most of the way to having Earth Shatter, at least. He's got Earth Shatter in all likelihood by this point, so we have to be worried about that. Be so careful when taking the shield down in front of the enemy team. And I know we're doing it to Fire Strike right now. Do it closer to cover. Because we're doing it in the middle of the street again right now. So, like, if we're gonna Fire Strike in front of this kind of team comp, because this team comp is so scary to take your shield down against, because there's a Zen, there's an Ashe, and there's a Hanzo. So we could suddenly die with basically no notice, right? Do it closer to cover. Do it, like, right next to that wall. Start the animation, peek the corner, Fire Strike, walk back behind the cover again. And then you gotten it out there, and you didn't take anywhere near as much damage. And you might go, well, I didn't die, so it doesn't matter, right? Like, as long as you didn't die, it's no big deal. The thing is, this is something you have to bear in mind when you're playing any tank, right? Certain tanks in particular, D.Va one of them. D.Va and Roadhog are the really blatant examples of this, but all tanks have to worry about this. You are the primary source of ult charge for the enemy team, because you are so big, easy to hit, and have a lot of hit points. So you're the main source of ult charge for the enemy team. So even if you don't die, you need to be thinking about how much free damage you're letting the enemy team get, because that's free ult charge you're giving them. So even right there, you might go, well, I got the Fire Strike off and I didn't die, so no big deal. We just gave them like 400 hit points worth of ult charge right there. And that can easily be the difference between someone having their ultimate and not having their ultimate for the fight, which is a big deal in Overwatch. That's more along the lines of what we should have done right there. Don't need to hold the shield up right now. Everybody's in cover. Could just letting it regenerate instead. So now we're trying to engage. Really low health. Like, we took a lot of damage right there. Oh, no. So here's something you have to bear in mind with Reinhardt versus Reinhardt. We just got nano boosted. We also ran in swinging, but we also just got nano boosted. My man is gonna be like, here comes Earth Shatter. So he's gonna try and Earth Shatter right back. He should just be planning to block it first, which he could have done from that position, but when you see the enemy Reinhardt get Earth Shatter, the first thing you should be thinking is, this guy wants to Earth Shatter. So then you wait, you can just like Earth Shatter ahead of time a lot, like, oh yeah, he's gonna take it down right now. Got him. Or you can just block it and then counter Earth Shatter. So like, when you get nano boosted as Reinhardt, you gotta play the game like he expects me to Earth Shatter now. So you need to be a little bit more clever. You need to try and like bait it out of him first, which you can do by just like running forward swinging, like feinting that you're gonna swing at them and then hold your shield up immediately. Because they'll be like, well, not immediately, but almost immediately after you start swinging. Because you run forward and start swinging, he's going to go, here he comes. Classic nano-boosted Reinhardt. Just going to wade in and start swinging. Here we go. And then you hold the shield up on him unexpectedly, and he's like, shit. Well. And then you can really easily counter-shatter him if he commits hard without going for the read first. Or, bare minimum, now you don't have to worry about taking your shield down and just swinging at the enemy team, because now the main thing that was going to punish you for doing that, the Earth Shatter, has been negated. So you gotta be always thinking about Earth Shatter from the enemy Reinhardt. That's really what it all revolves around, is like Earth Shattering the enemy team. So we do just like sprint right in right now, and you know, we got to do a lot of damage right here. But don't forget, you did leave the whole team behind. So they're trying to run to keep up with us right now, which meant running through Reinhardt and the rest of their team. So they took a lot of damage doing that. So, you know, we got to run in and do some swinging, no doubt. But don't forget, we are a tank, so our primary goal is blocking damage for the enemy team more than doing damage ourselves. We have gold damage right now. That feels good. You know, you get to go, fucking trash DPS. Now damaging Reinhardt. We haven't really been much of a tank this game so far. We've done a lot of like really aggro shit, which has, broadly speaking, not been very rewarding for us. When did we get rewarded, actually, for our very aggressive play? There was the one time we didn't get punished, but that's not really being rewarded for it. Yeah, we've been really aggressive, but none of the aggressive plays have really paid off. We're just, like, going ham, pretty much. Shield really close to breaking. You know, took it down to 13 health. That's really close to, like, 100% optimization, right? But, like, still really, like, you know, don't want the shield to break still. So we've got Earth Shatter right now. We shouldn't do it. Half their team's dead. Look at the kill feed. Half their team was dead by that point. That's forward, not back. Half their team dead. Hanzo dies. Zen dies. He dies. Half their team's dead. We've won the fight. There's no need to Earth Shatter at this point. We can save it for the second fight. We kill Zarya, like, a little bit faster, but, like, we were gonna win that fight regardless. Don't commit your ult to a fight that you've already won or already lost. Just save it for the next fight, which could still go either way. I assume we were thinking about changing to D.Va right there, based off how we were running, and decided not to. Doesn't really matter. So we're blocking for nobody right now. We're trying to get to the Hanzo. This is not our job. We have a Winston on our team. Let Winston do that. Where we just did all of this, like, we're doing all this right here. What are we doing? Like, why are we doing any of what we just did right there? We're blocking for nobody, right? Still, number one goal, blocking for our teammates. Nobody's up here with us. We're probably toying with the idea of going to get Hanzo. Not our job. That's Winston's job. Just do your job. Don't worry about other people's job until you've completed your job first. Because if you're not doing your job, that means someone has to try and do your job while you're doing somebody else's job. Which just means two people who are not meant to be doing the jobs that they're doing are trying to do their jobs before they've taken care of their own jobs, right? It's a very badly worded sentence, but hopefully you got the idea. Here we go again. you know? If we live, that's very upsetting, frankly. We definitely didn't deserve to live for that one. That was one of the more egregious ones, actually. Even though, like, there have been some pretty bad ones, that was one of the more egregious ones, like, low-key. And we've doubled down now by line of sighting our healers in this small room. So we've just went behind, like, 2 walls, and suddenly, like, well, they're like, can't heal that guy. He's fucking dead. And then we died. So we, like, doubled down on what was already a bad choice there. We are, like, way too aggro with the charging, basically. We're doing a lot of feeding the enemy team, which is very suboptimal. It's not looking good right now. I'll give you that one. Yeah, just leave. Just leave. Those 2 guys, they're pretty dead. Just leave them to die. No need to be blocking right now. We're like walking, like, what are we doing right now? We're waiting for our team to regroup. We even just said regroup, and now we're walking forward while 2 of our team are still respawning. So we're walking forward 4v6 right now. And not everybody was quite back yet anyway. So we just said regroup, and then didn't wait to regroup. So now we've pushed up to here, right? So, like, think about what's happening right now. We pushed up to here, alone, let our shield mostly break, and now we're hiding behind this little, like, nothing wall, right? Like, big ol' Reinhardt's hiding behind, like, a tree branch right now. Like, they can't get me around here. And so we did that. This was never going to amount to anything, because we needed to wait for our teammates regardless. So we pushed all the way up to this pretty bad position, where we could get punished for this pretty easily, but they just kind of don't. So, hey, you know, that's cool. But now, we know there's a Widow, and I know we know there's a Widow, because we just said Widow's up top before we started doing this. So I know we know Widow's up there. And now our teammates have to run the same way we just went, without a shield. The only reason we lived was because we have a shield. Now they have to do it without a shield. So we pushed up into this bad position for no potential payoff other than being in this bad position by ourselves. And now our teammates have to do the same thing without us, because we're hiding here, letting our shield regenerate. And then, now we're pushing into this Reinhardt, who definitely close to having Earth Shatter, and our shield's mostly broken. We're mostly dead. So we're like, fuck it. Hail Mary, pretty much. We did this. 2 of our team are dead. 3 of our team are dead. When we push this button, we know Hanzo's Dragon Strike's right behind us, so it's very hard for our teammates to follow us. We're at 69 health, which is very nice, but definitely not the time to use Earth Shatter. And we just realized everybody else died. Pay attention to the kill feed. Very important. Stops you from using your Earth Shatter in situations like that. We've died 13 times! We've died 13 times! That's a lot of deaths! And, like, you expect a tank to die a few times over the course of a game. It's very rare you'll play a Reinhardt game and not die a few times, but, like, 13 deaths is a lot of deaths! That's a lot of feeding that we've done this game. So we've changed to D.Va now. Presumably just, like, fucking snipers. Bah! We've mostly got a dive comp at this point anyway, so, you know, fair enough. Whatever, we got Winston. So it's not like we switched into a bad combo of tanks or anything like that. It's fine. But if we've changed to D.Va, because we're trying to counter snipers, we do have to actually do that. Because I've seen Hanzo's killed Zarya right now, and we're trying to harass this Zen, which we didn't execute terribly well. But, like, if the thinking was, like, countering snipers, we do have to actually counter the snipers also, which we didn't do during there, but other people took care of the issue for us, so, okay. So we're going to capture this checkpoint now, most of the way there. It has to be quite a feat for them to hold the checkpoint at that point. I've seen it happen, but, you know, it would be quite unlikely. So, you know, minimizing feeding. We're playing one of the ult battery tanks right now. D.Va and Roadhog are the 2 ult battery tanks. So if you're going to poke far up like that, have a reason for doing it. We pretty much just went in the doorway to be like, hello, and then walk back out again. We took a lot of damage right there for no potential payoff. Because, I mean, our payload hadn't broken the door yet until very recently. Just whenever you're doing something, like anything at all, just think, like, why am I doing what I'm doing right now? What's the potential reward I get for doing this? And what's the potential penalty I get for doing this? And if the answer is something like, well, very minimal reward or no reward and fairly like pretty bad penalty, just don't do it. You know, I like to play in a way that minimizes risk as much as possible. I play Reinhardt, well, I played a lot of Reinhardt. I've played less Reinhardt for a couple seasons now, but like when the very first hero I got to Masters in was just solo queuing Reinhardt all the way up, right? And what I learned very quickly playing Reinhardt is there are a lot of times where it feels like you should be able to do something, but you actually can't do it right now, right? You feel like you're very strong. You're actually only very strong in very specific situations. So, like, just think, like, what am I doing right now? What's the payoff? What's the penalty? And if the answer, like, for Reinhardt, like, quite frequently I'll be in the middle of the enemy team, swinging at people, and I'll go, wait, or about to swing at people, and I'll go, wait, he's got Earthshatter. So I should be really careful about swinging right now, because if I swing, my potential payoff is doing 75 damage to a couple people in front of me, right? But the potential penalty for me doing this is my team getting Earthshattered and we lose the team fight, right? And if the enemy team is something like Double Sniper, I have to also think, well, my potential payoff is doing 75 damage. The potential penalty is getting Earthshattered and my teammates maybe getting shot in the head because I took my shield down, right? You always gotta be thinking, like, what do I gain? What do I stand to gain? What do I stand to lose? Reinhardt's about a lot of math, actually, and a lot of just thinking, like, can I get away with this? Probably not. And quite frankly, if you're in a position where you're thinking to yourself, can I get away with this? You're kind of already admitting, like, I shouldn't, but can I? And part of the skill of the game is recognizing when you can get away with something. But whenever you're thinking, like, can I get away with it? Maybe just think for a second, maybe I shouldn't be trying at all, if that's the question I'm asking myself. So, I like to play in a way that minimizes risk, because Reinhardt, there's a lot of situations where the potential payoff is pretty minimal, and the potential penalty is extremely large, like losing team fight large for, like, doing a little bit of extra damage in the team fight. And sometimes the little bit of extra damage in the team fight matters. You're far more likely to be in a position where getting Earthshattered is far worse, right? So it's very important to bear in mind. Why am I doing what I'm doing right now? What's the payoff? So right now we are playing D.Va. So when something like this happens behind our team, or to our team rather, behind our team, to our team behind us, we should interpret this kind of situation as being us fucking up, right? Playing Reinhardt, anytime your team gets Earthshattered, you should think, I fucked up. You play in D.Va, and anytime your team gets killed by ultimates you can eat, you should think, I fucked up. Because we've had 2 points where we could change the situation. We could eat D.Va, we could eat the Graviton, which is harder. You have to read the Zarya to actually do that, so that's harder. Or we could have eaten the Dragon Strike. We ate neither of those things. Reaper was also spinning, but I just want everybody to look at the kill feed real quick, which I want them to do anyway. But right now, in particular, we'll notice that Genji just killed Reaper with Death Blossom, so that's pretty cool. But anytime our team gets killed by ultimates that we can absorb as D.Va, we should be thinking, I fucked up. I could have eaten at least one of those ultimates and made that situation significantly less bad for my teammates. My teammates got Earthshattered and I'm playing Reinhardt, I could have blocked that. I'm playing Zarya and my team gets Earthshattered. I could have blocked that. Anytime something terrible happens to your team and you're playing a tank, you should probably be thinking, I fucked up. How did I fuck up? Because you as the tank are the Bastion. You're not the Bastion, though Bastion can be a tank. But you are the bulwark that holds all these terrible things away from your teammates. So anytime it happens to them, you should be like, I fucked up. Someone dies on your team, there's a solid chance it was your fault if you're playing a tank. not always. If they died because they did something stupid, that's not your fault. It's their fault for doing something stupid. But if they weren't doing anything stupid and they died, there's a solid chance it was your fault if you're playing a tank. And that's bad. You'd want to minimize fault as much as possible. This is something tank and support players get up into as well a lot. It's like they feel like there's something they couldn't have done anything in this situation. And sometimes that's true. Like, I don't have as much agency over the game as a DPS. To be perfectly honest with you, I find the game significantly easier to carry as a support and a tank than as a DPS. Because tanks and DPS, or tanks and healers rather, are way easier to play. They have really big impacts. So I find it way easier to carry as a tank and a support. Because they're just easier to play, to be honest with you. But they the end of the situation, there was nothing I could have done. This situation was out of my control. That's the wrong mentality to take into that situation. Even if it is genuinely not your fault, even if you lose a team fight and it was genuinely not your fault, you should still think, what could I have done to maximize my chance of winning in this situation? Because there's almost always something you could have done. Was your chance of winning still very low? Yes, it was still low, but it was higher if you did the specific thing, right? That's a way more productive mentality to take into the thing. And even if it, again, genuinely wasn't your fault, always just be thinking, was it my fault? I don't want it to be my fault. I need to analyze this situation to make sure it wasn't my fault, right? And even if it wasn't, still, what could I have done better? Even when it feels like it's hopeless, try to make sure you're not the reason it happened. And think like, what could I have done anyway? Because there was probably something I could have done to increase our chances of winning, even if it was only by 1%. Over a course of like 100 games, you know? We're at a fairly high level. We've played more than 100 games. Even if you only increase your chances of winning by 1%, that is still like one more game you won over the course of things, right? And then by continually doing that kind of thing over and over and over again, you analyze it like, what could I have done? What could I have done? Suddenly there are way less points where it can be your fault, which means over the course of all the games you play, you are going to win more. There are a lot of points in this game where it can easily have been our fault. Because there are a lot of situations in this game where we did something really, really dumb. And we didn't always get punished for it, but we did a lot of like really overly aggressive things that we got punished for or deserved to get punished for. And if just one of those situations didn't happen, we're potentially looking at an entirely different game at this point. And who knows what could happen in that world, right? So this is why I like to play a fairly low-risk playstyle overall. I don't want it to be my fault that we lost. I don't want to be the one that charged 20 meters in there and died as a result of it. I don't want to be that guy. So I'll play too much holding the shield up. Because my penalty, what do I stand to gain? Well, if I swing in there, hey, I might get a guy. I might do some damage. I might lose the game. If I hold my shield up for my teammates, well, what I lose, I definitely lose doing some damage, but I can't possibly lose by having all my teammates behind me get earth-shattered, right? I definitely lose some damage, but I don't lose as much by taking this other situation. That's how I like to approach things. So we've done it again, where we're like running into the entire enemy team, and they've been showing us double sniper Discord this entire time, so like we should not be doing that anymore. It's like running into them, fire striking. We should be doing that around cover still. We shouldn't just be like sprinting in like that. Because they've been showing us extremely damaging comps like that so far this entire time, so we should be ready for that. So we decided to change to D.Va. D.Va is not as good when you're playing against Bastion. Because if, like, Defense Matrix is not very good for stopping Bastion, unless your whole team is going to collapse with you really well, which you can't really rely on. If Reinhardt, if you can get to the guy holding your shield up, you can pin him. And that's way more productive than just holding a little bit of Defense Matrix over the guy. And, like, we're just now dogpiling on Bastion. We did get him, at least, but it cost us a lot to get the guy. So, we got him, well, we ain't getting anything else. We did a lot of damage, like, running in there. It didn't really pay off. Even just, like, right there, the path we took, if you're playing Reinhardt and we got up there, we just pinned the Bastion. Right, like, we just try and pin the Bastion, and that's a better situation than being D.Va right next to the guy, like, pew, 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 pew. He's like, go away! I'm shooting your teammates right now, stop! Right, like, it's not very threatening, to be honest with you. I don't like playing D.Va against Bastion. The most you stand to gain is, like, if your teammates are really coordinated, you can get in there while defense matrix going. Or making him move with self-destruct, but you've got to be able to get to self-destruct for that to really work out. We only had a minute, so not super likely to work out. So, it is not actually mathematically possible to win this game. So, because we got to stop for 1:25 at least. So I was gonna be like, well, do you think we hold them or do you think we lose? There's not enough time mathematically on the timeline, so that doesn't happen. Oh my god, this is a 23-minute game, and the recording right now is up to 52 minutes. So there you go. You know, I like to think, you know, really this just means I'm bad at making my points and do a lot of stopping and like repeating myself and all that. But what I like to think that this means is I just have a lot of opinions and experience with Reinhardt. I have a lot of insight to share about this hero that I mained for about 10 seasons. In reality, I'm just a really meandering, incoherent person. But that's okay. Whatever. I'll justify it to myself however I want, Dad. And you can't do anything about it. So I'm immediately suspicious of their Reinhardt hanging around over by there, because I'm like, he wants to peek for that doorway and try pinning Bastion if he gets the opportunity. So we get pushed back, took a lot of damage by, here they come. Oh god, we're currently playing a play around Bastion comp, and we just decided to start charging. Big risk, oh no. Anna did just die. Where was Hanzo? Not over here, other side. Not the side we were blocking at the time. We're concerned with the front line right now, so... So Ryan just got rezzed. That's very scary. Shield could have been regenerating for a little period of time in there, but a fairly unlikely to matter amount of time. I think we tried to countercharge it. Look, it's fucked at this point. It's fucked. It's fucked. It's completely fucked. We all know we don't win from this position. We conceded too much ground early on. And then the game ends right there. Or the video ends right there, all over. What game is this from? I feel like I recognize it. I don't know. Whatever. 7 stupidest things to block your path. Don't pick on Psyduck. That's very rude of you. He's not stupid. Come on. He's a little stupid, but that's just frankly rude, okay? So, I think that stood out the most. We're way too overly aggressive. We did so much, like, charging, like, a million billion miles into the enemy team, which is very bad. There's a lot of just, like, running in, taking a bunch of damage, not playing around cover, positioning too aggressively forward, just going for really, like, low payoff, high risk plays, like... didn't get a lot of value out of Earth Shatter. We got like a lot of people with a few of the Earth Shatters, but the Earth Shatters still weren't very good for other reasons, though. Like, so we didn't get a lot of value out of our ultimate, and that's so much of it, right? We'll talk about that a little bit now, very end, right? The question that was attached to the video basically is, how can a tank carry? And we're playing Reinhardt specifically, right? Very first hero I got to Masters with was playing Reinhardt solo queue all the way up, and it's all Earth Shatter, basically, right? Like, it's all Earth Shatter. Earth Shatter is such a strong ultimate that if you get a good one, you win the fight. And if you just continue, and there's probably a Reinhardt over there, if you always block the enemy Reinhardt's Earth Shatter, and you always land your Earth Shatters, it's completely free. There's should be no reason you lose that game. As long as, if you, and this is true of, like, every role, to be honest with you, like, the way Overwatch is, if you ult more times than the person in your role on the opposite team, if you ult more than them, you probably won the game. If you just successfully ult more times than your counterpart on the other team, you still have a pretty good chance of winning the game. Overwatch as a game very strongly revolves around ultimates. Reinhardt in particular, it's all ultimate. The shield is nice, the shield is definitely good, but to me, the shield is secondary to Earthshatter. Right? Like, Earthshatter is so strong. If you can just land that consistently and always block the other Reinhardts, it's completely free. The trick is you gotta land good Earthshatters, and you gotta always be thinking about the other Reinhardt. But that's the main key. And here's just any time you're thinking, how do you carry a game as a hero? Think about it like, this is how I like to think about it, right? Every hero has something about them that is unfair, right? For Reinhardt, the thing that's unfair about him is that he has an ultimate that by itself can win you a team fight, and the other thing that's unfair about him is that his shield gives his teammates line of sight onto the enemy from, like, positions where there's no cover. You give your teammates cover in positions they shouldn't have it, which gives your teammates better lines of sight to the enemy team, uncontested lines of sight to the enemy team. So those are the two things that are overpowered and unfair about Reinhardt. So that's what we're trying to leverage as much as possible. Can Reinhardt do a lot of damage if he's uncontested in a fight? Yes, he definitely can. But it's very difficult, especially as you climb in rank, it's very difficult to be Reinhardt just in the enemy team swinging around freely, doing this just 75 AoE damage to people, right? It's very hard to do that. Like, especially as you climb up, people get better at focusing you down. People get better at reacting to your aggressive plays, right? It gets harder and harder as time goes by. So that's cool, but, like, the thing that's unfair about Reinhardt is Earthshatter and the shield. So that's what we're trying to leverage. The most unfair thing about your hero is what you're trying to leverage. Talk about, like, Moira. The thing that's unfair about Moira is the amount of healing that she can put out and how quickly her ultimate charges. So you want to leverage that by keeping people alive in situations they normally wouldn't be able to just because of the sheer amount of healing you put out. And you get to ult so many times over the course of a game. Your ult's not as strong as someone like Reinhardt's, but you get to use it so much more frequently that it's strong for that reason. But here's a really straightforward thing. What's unfair about Genji? Dragon Blade, if you use it correctly, is an I win the fight button. And that's why Genji's strong, right? And if you got Ana with you as well, it's even better. And that's what's unfair about Ana. All her cooldowns are extremely strong. Anti-heal and heal boost, extremely strong effects. Putting someone to sleep for 5 seconds? Oh my god, that's a long-ass CC right there. Whole fight can be over in that period of time. And Nano Boost is just increase the skill of this player by, like, 200%, right? Button. That's what's unfair about Ana, so that's what you try and leverage with Ana. And that's how you carry with any hero. You identify the thing that is unfair about that hero, and you leverage that aspect of the hero as much as physically possible. So, hopefully that's helpful. Hopefully that answers the question. So anyway, it's been an hour now. Great job, me. That's a lot of content right there. Yes, that's a good explanation. So, thank you very much for watching if you did. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm more than happy to answer. If you haven't already, you can join our Discord and ask questions more directly and have a conversation about them, or just shitpost with us. Started streaming on Twitch Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, 7 p.m. EST till 10 or 11 EST, usually 11. There's a link to the channel in the description below. And if somehow you managed to make it all the way through the video and somehow still enjoyed it, please like the video and subscribe for more content of middling quality in the future. And I hope you found the video helpful.